Hey, it's You'll Be Blessed here, making it clear, making it plain, opening up the heavens, for my teaching is like spring rain. And today we're going to learn to write chemical formulas using ionic compounds from the main group elements. Let's start with magnesium chloride. The first thing you need to know are the charges for the magnesium and chloride ions. You can find those numbers on a designated periodic table or from a list of elements that tell you the ionic charges. As you can see here, the charge for magnesium is +2 and the charge for chlorine is a -1. Now that we have the charges for the cation and the anion, we need to come up with a least common multiple other than 1. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want all of the charges to add up to 0. 2 plus a -1 does not add up to 0. So the least common multiple other than 1 between 2 and 1 is 2. So we're going to assign a +2 for the cation and a -2 for the anion. Now that we've decided on a least common multiple, we're going to take the least common multiple and divide it by the charge of that ion. So for magnesium, 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. For chlorine, -2 divided by -1 is a +2. By doing this, we are able to calculate the number of ions necessary to generate magnesium chloride with an overall charge of 0. Thus, the final answer is MgCl2. Let's try another example. Magnesium oxide, an ionic compound using only main group elements. First, let's get the electrostatic charges for magnesium and oxygen. Those can be found on a designated periodic table or on a list that gives you the ionic charges for each element. Magnesium has a +2 charge. Oxygen has a -2 charge. Now let's decide on a least common multiple between these two charges. Here, it should be very obvious that their least common multiple other than 1 is 2. We want to put a positive LCM on the left and a negative LCM on the right. The next step is to divide the least common multiple by the ionic charge. This will give us the number of atoms that are necessary for magnesium and oxygen to form an ionic compound with 0 or neutral charge. For magnesium, 2 divided by 2 is 1. For oxygen, -2 divided by -2 is also equal to 1. Therefore, to write the chemical formula for this ionic compound, magnesium oxide, you just need 1 magnesium and 1 oxygen, MgO. Final answer. Let's review how to write the chemical formula for magnesium phosphide, an ionic compound that only uses main group elements. So the first thing we need to do is get the charges for each of their ions. Those charges can be found on a designated periodic table or on a list of ionic charges for each element. Magnesium has a +2 charge, phosphorus has a -3 charge. The next step in this process is to come up with the least common multiple for 2 and 3, the charges that are on magnesium and phosphorus. The lowest common multiple of 2 and 3 must be 6 because you can multiply each of them by one another to get 6. So we're going to put a +6 for our magnesium cation and a -6 for our phosphide anion. 6 plus -6 is going to give us 0. We use the least common multiple so that we know that they will cancel each other out and the opposite charges will add up to be equal to 0. The next step is to take the least common multiple and divide it by the charge of each ion. For magnesium, 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. For phosphorus, -6 divided by -3 is equal to +2. By doing this, we are able to calculate the number of magnesium atoms and phosphorus atoms that are required to make an electrostatically neutral ionic compound. Thus, the final answer is Mg3P2. Thanks for tuning in to You'll Be Blessed STEM Education. I hope you were blessed by the contents of this video. And if you were, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more teachings that feel like a refreshing spring rain.